The city buzzed with life. Hover cars zipped above the neon-lit streets, their lights reflecting off the glass towers that stretched like fingers into the sky. Street vendors filled the sidewalks, selling everything from sizzling alien delicacies to gadgets that could fold clothes or translate languages instantly. Among the crowd walked Marcus, a kind-eyed man in his late 30s, holding the small hand of his nephew, Eli. Eli, a curious 6-year-old with an untamed mop of brown hair and bright, questioning eyes, had a way of noticing things that adults often missed. Today, he was unusually quiet, walking with Marcus and glancing at every stall they passed. His little hand tightened on Marcus's as he stopped abruptly in front of a brightly colored ice cream stand. The vendor, a cheerful young woman named Lyra, waved to them. Her stall was unlike the other vendors in the street. It wasn't just neon lights and blinking signs. It smelled sweet and fresh, like a memory of summers past. The ice cream she offered wasn't ordinary, either. There were flavors from other planets. Glowing blue vanilla from Tyrannus 3, caramel that fizzed softly on the tongue, and chocolate infused with a hint of starlight. Eli's eyes widened as he took in the array. He pointed to a glowing pink swirl. "That one," he said. Marcus chuckled, watching the way Lyra's face lit up at the child's enthusiasm. "Pink swirl for you, kiddo," he said, reaching for his wallet. Eli, however, didn't even wait for the ice cream. He tilted his head, looking at Lyra with a thoughtful expression that made Marcus pause. Then, without warning, he blurted out something that made Marcus freeze mid-step. "If you married my uncle, he'd be happier." Marcus laughed, more out of surprise than amusement. "Eli, where did you even hear?" Eli waved a dismissive hand. "I just know. He looks lonely sometimes." "And you're nice." Lyra blinked at the boy, her smile widening, though her eyes held a spark of amusement and curiosity. "That's quite a suggestion, little one," she said gently. Marcus felt heat rush to his cheeks. He scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. "Well, that's a first," he muttered. "You don't hear that every day." Eli shrugged, clearly proud of his wisdom. "I'm a good judge of people, and you'd like each other." Marcus looked at Lyra again. She was laughing softly now, brushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear. There was something in her expression, warmth, patience, and a light-hearted curiosity that made him realize Eli might not be entirely wrong. For a moment, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, a flicker of connection. He shook his head, trying to clear the thought. "Come on, Eli. Let's get your ice cream before it melts." They moved closer to the stall. Lyra served Eli a scoop of the glowing pink swirl, and Marcus opted for a scoop of the fizzy caramel chocolate. The two of them took a small table nearby, the hum of the city surrounding them. Eli didn't eat immediately. Instead, he studied Lyra as she cleaned her counter, humming a tune that seemed impossibly cheerful for this busy city. "You like my uncle," he said bluntly, as if stating a fact. Lyra laughed. "I do think he's interesting." She looked at Marcus with playful curiosity. "And you seem like someone who enjoys inventing things. That's a rare skill." Marcus blinked, caught off guard. Thanks," he said, unsure how to respond to both her kindness and Eli's blunt observation. Eli nodded seriously, picking up his spoon. "I know. You should marry him." Marcus laughed again, louder this time, shaking his head. "You're a very bold little boy, Eli." Lyra smiled at the child, then glanced at Marcus again. There was a softness in her gaze, an openness that made Marcus feel lighter. It was a strange feeling, the kind that made him want to linger, to talk more, even when he had somewhere else to be. After a few moments, Eli began eating his ice cream with gusto, leaving Marcus and Lyra to exchange shy smiles. Marcus found himself asking about Lyra's life. "So, do you make all these flavors yourself?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Yes," she said, pride in her voice. "I love experimenting with tastes from other worlds. It's fun to see how people react. And I like making something that makes people happy. Marcus nodded. He understood that. He, too, spent his days making things, gadgets, machines, inventions that sometimes failed spectacularly. But he loved seeing the results of his efforts in people's smiles. Lyra's passion reminded him of why he had started inventing in the first place. They talked more, exchanging light stories about their work, their dreams, and the strange, little moments of the city that often went unnoticed. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. A sense of ease with someone else. A quiet connection that didn't demand anything but allowed understanding to bloom. Eli, satisfied that he had done his part, took a big bite of his ice cream and then leaned back, watching the two adults. "See, I told you," he whispered to Marcus. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. "You're something else, Eli. Really something else." Lyra noticed the exchange, her laughter soft and warm. "He's a smart kid," she said. "I like him." Marcus smiled. "He gets that from me," he said, though he wasn't sure if he was joking. The city around them continued its noisy, fast-paced dance, but for a moment, Marcus felt a calm he hadn't known in a long time. Here, in the middle of all the chaos, there was laughter, sweetness, and a small human connection that reminded him why life could be wonderful. As they finished their ice cream, Eli tugged at Marcus's sleeve. "Can we come here again tomorrow?" he asked, hopeful. Marcus looked at Lyra, whose smile was patient and inviting. "Sure," he said, feeling the warmth of the idea. "We'll come back." Eli grinned, satisfied with his orchestration. He had done his job. He had sparked something new in his uncle's life, something gentle and promising. As they walked away from the stand, Marcus felt a subtle shift within himself. Maybe, just maybe, Eli's words weren't completely absurd. Maybe happiness could be found in the smallest, most unexpected encounters, and sometimes it took a 6-year-old to point it out. And as the neon lights reflected in the puddles of rain on the street, Marcus found himself thinking of Lyra again. And a small smile crept onto his face. The spark had been lit. And Marcus, for the first time in years, felt curious about what could happen next. The next morning, the city was alive with its usual bustle. Hovercars hummed overhead, delivering packages and passengers, while the sidewalks teemed with people hurrying to work or stopping at stalls that smelled of fresh bread, sizzling meat, or sweet alien treats. Marcus had promised Eli they would return to the ice cream stand, and Eli had not let him forget. "We have to go today, Uncle Marcus. You can't change your mind," Eli had said first thing in the morning, tugging on Marcus's sleeve with a mischievous grin. Marcus laughed, ruffling Eli's hair. All right. Let's go get your ice cream again. And maybe I'll get one too." Eli's eyes sparkled with victory. "Good. You'll see, Uncle. Lyra is awesome." By the time they arrived, Lyra was already arranging her colorful ice cream tubs. The neon lights on her stand seemed even brighter in the morning sun, and the smell of sweet and creamy flavors reached them before they even stepped close. "Good morning, Eli. And you too, Marcus," Lyra greeted, smiling warmly. Her voice was calm and cheerful, like a melody that could lift anyone's spirits. Eli waved excitedly, practically bouncing in place. "I told you we'd be back." Marcus smiled awkwardly, holding back the laughter that came whenever he saw how dramatic Eli could be. "Yes, you were very persuasive," he said. Lyra laughed softly, handing Eli a glowing blue swirl. "Here you go. And Marcus, what would you like today?" Marcus scanned the tubs, fascinated. Each flavor seemed more unusual than the last. He finally chose one called Solar Caramel, a rich, golden ice cream that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Lyra handed it over with a smile, her hands careful and precise. They sat at their usual small table nearby, Eli diving into his ice cream with delight, while Marcus took a small bite of his. The flavor was incredible, sweet, creamy, and with a tiny hint of tang that made it unforgettable. Marcus couldn't help but watch Lyra as she worked, noticing the care she took with every scoop, the way she smiled at customers, and the little quirks that made her unique. There was an energy about her, a warmth that was rare in a city so full of machines and automation. "Eli, Sensing that his uncle was quietly observing Lyra, leaned over. "See, uncle? She's amazing. I told you." Marcus chuckled. "Yes, I see that now." As they ate, a sudden commotion broke the calm. Across the street, a large, shiny corporate truck rolled to a stop. A holographic sign flickered above the back. Auto Treats Automated Ice Cream Service. A sleek robot rolled out of the truck, its mechanical arms whirring as it prepared identical ice cream cones with precision. Lyra frowned, her fingers pausing mid-scoop. Marcus noticed the change in her expression. "Is everything okay?" he asked. Lyra shook her head, trying to smile. "It's this new corporation. They're putting these automated ice cream bots everywhere. They don't care about flavors, creativity, or people. They just want efficiency. My little stand. They might try to shut me down." Eli gasped. "No, not Lyra's ice cream." Marcus's brow furrowed. He felt a surge of protective instinct, not just for Eli's happiness, but for the human touch that Lyra represented. Machines could make ice cream, sure, but they couldn't laugh with customers, notice little details, or share joy the way humans did. "I can help," Marcus said before he realized he had spoken aloud. Lyra raised an eyebrow, curious. "You could?" Marcus nodded. "I'm an inventor. I make machines and gadgets. Maybe I can design something to help your stand compete." Eli jumped up, nearly tipping his chair. "Yes, Uncle Marcus will save the day." Lyra smiled, a mix of amusement and hope in her eyes. "All right, let's see what you can do." For the next few hours, Marcus and Lyra worked together. Eli supervised enthusiastically, offering advice that mostly consisted of shouting, "Make it bigger," or "Add sprinkles." Marcus sketched designs for small devices that would make Lyra's ice cream stand faster and more efficient, but without losing its charm. They built a small flavor mixer that could create new combinations on the spot, a cooling tray that kept ice cream at the perfect texture, and a tiny robotic helper that could hand ice cream to customers while Lyra focused on creating her artful flavors. Every invention was carefully designed to enhance the human touch, not replace it. Lyra watched in amazement. "Marcus, these are incredible. You really understand what I need." Marcus smiled, a little shyly. "I just want to help." Eli clapped his hands. "See, I told you humans are awesome. Robots can't do everything." As the day went on, customers began to notice the changes. They were drawn to the mix of Lyra's creativity and Marcus's clever devices. People laughed, shared stories, and marveled at the flavors that seemed to dance on their tongues. Even the sleek Auto Treats robots couldn't compete. They churned out identical ice creams, precise but soulless. People came back to Lyra's stand, not just for the taste, but for the experience, the warmth, the laughter, and the tiny details only humans could provide. By evening, the little stand was bustling more than ever. Lyra leaned against the counter, watching the crowd. Her cheeks were flushed from happiness and exhaustion. Marcus, wiping his hands on a rag, looked over at her. "You did it," he said simply. "People want your ice cream because of you. Not just the machines." Lyra smiled, her eyes meeting his. "And you helped me show that. I don't know how to thank you." Marcus shrugged, feeling a strange warmth. "I didn't do much. You did most of the work." Eli, perched on a stool with a half-eaten ice cream cone, piped up. "No, you did it too. Humans are better together." Lyra laughed softly, shaking her head. "This kid is something else. You know that, Marcus?" Marcus smiled, glancing at Eli with fondness. "I know. He's brilliant in his own way." As the sun began to set, the neon lights of the city began to glow. Marcus, Lyra, and Eli stood together outside the stand, looking at the crowd of happy customers. The city around them was still fast and loud, full of machines and technology. But in this little corner, something special had happened. Humans had worked together, created something beautiful, and reminded everyone that warmth, creativity, and connection couldn't be automated. Marcus felt a subtle shift in himself. Lyra's presence, combined with the success of their small adventure, made him feel lighter, happier, and more curious about the possibilities ahead. He realized that Eli's words from yesterday weren't as silly as he had first thought. Happiness could come from small connections, from helping others, and maybe even from the unexpected friendship of a kind, imaginative woman. Eli tugged at his uncle's sleeve, pointing excitedly. "Tomorrow, we can come again, and maybe you can help Lyra make a new flavor." Marcus laughed, feeling a warmth that had been missing for years. "I think that sounds like a great idea," he said. Lyra smiled at both of them, her eyes shining with a mix of amusement and appreciation. "I'd like that," she said. As the three of them walked home together through the glowing city streets, Marcus couldn't help but glance back at the stand one more time. In the middle of all the noise and technology, they had created something real, something human, and for the first time in a long while, he felt that life might just be full of little sparks waiting to grow into something wonderful. The next morning, the city hummed with the usual energy. Marcus and Eli walked together toward Lyra's ice cream stand, their steps light and filled with anticipation. The neon lights and colorful signs of the marketplace reflected in puddles from a light drizzle the night before, giving the streets a magical shimmer. Eli chattered non-stop, excited about the new flavors Lyra might have invented overnight. "She might have a new cosmic mango swirl today, Uncle. Or maybe starlight chocolate," Eli said, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Marcus laughed, shaking his head. "We'll see, Eli. Let's not get our hopes too high before we even arrive." But when they reached Lyra's stand, their laughter died in their throats. A large, metallic vehicle blocked part of the street, its shiny panels reflecting the neon lights. The corporate logo Auto Treats glowed across its side, and a group of robotic ice cream dispensers rolled in with mechanical precision. Their movements were flawless, their cones identical, but cold, lifeless, and perfectly uniform. Lyra's shoulders slumped. "They've come early today," she said, her cheerful tone strained with worry. Marcus's jaw tightened. "They're trying to intimidate you." Eli's eyes widened. "We can't let them take your stand. Lyra, we have to do something." Lyra shook her head, glancing nervously at the approaching robots. "I don't know if we can. They have permits, machines, and, well, they have everything." Marcus crouched to Eli's level. "We can't give up yet. We'll find a way to show people that human-made ice cream is better. And I think I have an idea." Eli grinned. "Yes. That's what I like about you, Uncle Marcus. Humans never give up." Together, they went inside Lyra's small storage area, brainstorming. Marcus drew sketches quickly, pencils flying over paper as Eli shouted suggestions. Lyra contributed ideas too, thinking about flavors, presentation, and small performances that could draw the crowd. "We need to make this stand unforgettable," Marcus said, pacing. "We'll combine my inventions with your ice cream, Lyra, so no machine can compete." Hours passed as they prepared. Marcus built small flavor-mixing devices that could create custom combinations instantly, adding a touch of drama to each scoop. Lyra perfected her newest flavor, galactic berry, which sparkled faintly as if the stars themselves had melted into it. Eli practiced handing out sample cones to imaginary customers, his enthusiasm infectious. By afternoon, the little stand had transformed. Marcus had rigged tiny sprinklers that could add edible glitter and soft steam to ice cream cones, making each serving feel like a small magic trick. A small conveyor system allowed Lyra to focus on crafting perfect flavors, while the little devices handled other tasks, enhancing her creativity rather than replacing it. Eli stepped back, his face shining with pride. "Uncle Marcus, Lyra, we're going to beat the robots." Lyra laughed, her nervousness fading. "We'll see, Eli. Let's hope people appreciate what humans can do." The first customers arrived, curious about the strange little devices and the sparkling ice cream. Their reactions were immediate. Children gasped in delight, adults smiled at the spectacle, and even a few passing robots paused. unable to understand the joy humans were experiencing. One man tried a galactic berry cone, and his eyes lit up. This is incredible, he exclaimed. I've never tasted anything like this. Marcus smiled, standing behind Lyra. It's a little bit of science, a little bit of art, and a lot of human effort, he said. Meanwhile, the auto-treats robots continued their mechanical work nearby, churning out identical cones with flawless precision. But the customers weren't interested. Their perfectly identical ice creams lacked the magic, the creativity, and the warmth of human touch. Lyra noticed Marcus watching her and smiled softly. It's working, she said quietly. People are noticing the difference. Eli, still bouncing around, added, Humans are better than robots. I told you. Suddenly, one of the corporate managers approached, frowning. This stand is illegal. You're in violation of city regulations for commercial operations. Move aside, or we'll shut you down. Lyra's hands shook slightly, but Marcus stepped forward. Wait. We're not just selling ice cream. We're showing the value of human creativity, skill, and connection. Our work can't be replaced by machines. People are choosing us because we offer something unique. The manager raised an eyebrow. And who decides what's unique? Machines follow the rules. People are unpredictable. Marcus took a deep breath. Exactly. That's why we belong here. Unpredictability, creativity, and care can't be automated. That's what makes humans special. And if greater. A crowd had gathered by now, drawn by the spectacle of flashing lights, glittering cones, and the unmistakable laughter of Eli. They started to cheer for the small human-run stand, their voices filling the street. Marcus felt a thrill, a mix of pride and relief as the crowd's energy gave strength to Lyra and him. Even the city authorities watching from a distance began to pause. People were smiling, laughing, and taking pictures of the glowing, magical cones. The manager's expression softened slightly as he realized that shutting the stand down would not be popular. Marcus turned to Lyra, whispering, See? They're choosing humanity. Lyra nodded, her eyes shining. And it feels amazing. Eli, not waiting for anyone, climbed onto a small crate to address the crowd. Listen, robots can make ice cream, but only humans can make it magical. Only humans can make it fun. That's why you should buy from Lyra and Uncle Marcus. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause. Even the manager seemed slightly amused despite himself. By the evening, the small stand had become the center of attention in the market. Lines stretched longer than any other stall, and people began to shout suggestions for new flavors, showing excitement that no machine could replicate. Marcus noticed Lyra laughing genuinely, her worries forgotten for the moment. Eli tugged on Marcus's sleeve. See, Uncle? Humans are amazing. Marcus chuckled, ruffling Eli's hair. Yes, kiddo. You were right all along. As the day ended, the three of them packed up, their hearts full of joy. Marcus and Lyra exchanged a quiet glance, one that spoke volumes about mutual respect, admiration, and something quietly growing between them. Eli yawned, his energy finally fading. Can we come back tomorrow? And maybe do another adventure? He murmured sleepily. Marcus smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Absolutely. Tomorrow, we'll make it even better. The city lights twinkled as they walked home together. Hovercars streaked through the sky, advertisements flashed, and people rushed by. But Marcus felt a calm he hadn't experienced in years. The little stand had survived, not because of machines, rules, or permits, but because humans had worked together, combined their skills, and shared a bit of joy. And in that moment, Marcus realized something important. Life wasn't just about work or survival. It was about moments like this, connections, laughter, and the magic of being human. He glanced at Lyra as she waved goodbye, and a warmth spread through him. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew that whatever came next, they could face it together. With Eli's optimism, Lyra's creativity, and Marcus's inventions, the three of them could make anything possible. Eli tugged at his uncle's sleeve one last time. You know, Uncle Marcus, I think you're going to be really happy from now on. Marcus smiled, a small laugh escaping him. I think you might be right, Eli. I think you might be right. The neon lights reflected in their eyes as they disappeared into the city streets, leaving behind the little magical ice cream stand that reminded everyone who saw it why humans were special, creative, warm, and endlessly surprising. The city woke slowly the next morning, with sunlight spilling over the tall glass buildings and reflecting off the hovercar highways above. Birds, real ones, not the robotic versions that sometimes zipped through the air, chirped, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh bread from nearby bakeries. Marcus walked with Eli toward Lyra's ice cream stand, feeling a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. Eli's small hand tugged him faster. Come on, Uncle. Lyra might have a new flavor today. And maybe she has a new gadget for your inventions. Marcus smiled, his mind still buzzing from the events of the previous day. The way the crowd had responded to their stand, the laughter, and even Eli's bold declaration, it all reminded him why humans were special, not just for creativity, but for empathy, warmth, and the way they could make each other feel seen. When they reached Lyra's stand, she was already arranging her tubs of ice cream. Today, she had a new flavor. Moonlight honey. A pale yellow swirl that glimmered faintly under the sunlight. She looked up, spotting Marcus and Eli, and her smile made his chest tighten in an unfamiliar but pleasant way. Good morning, she greeted warmly. I've been experimenting overnight. I hope you two like it. Eli ran ahead and hugged her around the knees. We're back, and we're ready to taste it. Marcus chuckled. Yes, thank you for letting us try your new flavors. As they sat at their usual table, Marcus noticed something he hadn't before: the way Lyra's eyes sparkled when she spoke about her work, the small gestures she made while serving ice cream, and the care she put into every detail. It wasn't just skill or creativity. It was heart. I've been thinking, Marcus said carefully, about what you said yesterday, about humans working together. Lyra raised an eyebrow. And I think you're right, he admitted, a small smile tugging at his lips. Machines can't do everything. They can't laugh, or notice small things, or make someone feel happy just because they care. People, we have that power. Lyra nodded, her eyes softening. I feel the same. Sometimes, I forget that in this busy city, it's the small connections that matter most. That's why your inventions yesterday, and Eli's energy, made such a difference. Eli, satisfied that his uncle was finally admitting the obvious, waved his ice cream spoon triumphantly. See, I told you. Humans are amazing. Marcus laughed, ruffling Eli's hair. Yes, you were right. The day passed in a warm, joyful rhythm. Customers arrived, drawn by the magical combinations of flavors and the charming spectacle of Marcus's small inventions. Lyra moved between them with grace and cheer, chatting, laughing, and noticing the smallest reactions to each scoop. Marcus watched her, feeling more connected than he had with anyone in a long time. By mid-afternoon, a quiet moment arrived. Most customers had left, leaving just Marcus, Lyra, and Eli cleaning up the stand. Lyra leaned against the counter, wiping her hands on a cloth, while Marcus adjusted a small gadget that added glitter to the cones. Marcus, she said softly, her voice catching his attention. Thank you for helping me yesterday. Not just with the inventions, but with everything. You reminded me why I started this stand in the first place. Marcus looked at her, slightly surprised by the depth in her voice. I didn't think I was doing anything special. I just wanted to help. Lyra smiled, reaching for a small piece of candy from a jar. Sometimes helping is enough. You didn't just help me. You reminded everyone who came why humans are unique. And maybe you reminded yourself too. Marcus swallowed hard, feeling warmth spread through him. He realized that he was thinking about Lyra more than he expected, about the way she smiled, laughed, and cared for everyone around her. And he realized he wanted to spend more time with her, not just to help, but simply to be near her. Eli, sensing the quiet moment between them, whispered mischievously, "You like her, Uncle Marcus." Marcus sputtered, coughing on his words. "Eli, don't say things like that." But Eli only grinned. "I see it. Your face is all red. And you're looking at her like you like her." Lyra laughed softly, catching the moment. "I think Eli might be right," she teased gently, her eyes twinkling. "You seem very thoughtful when you look at me." Marcus cleared his throat, feeling slightly embarrassed, but also oddly relieved that the truth was out. "Maybe I am," he admitted, offering a shy smile. Eli clapped his hands together. "Yes, I fixed Uncle Marcus." Now he's happy. They laughed together, the sound bright and easy, filling the small corner of the market with warmth. Marcus realized that happiness didn't always have to be complicated. It could be as simple as shared laughter, a little ice cream, and the company of people who cared. As evening approached, the city began to glow in its artificial lights. Neon signs flickered. Hovercars hummed above, and the streets buzzed with activity. Marcus noticed something strange, a small crowd forming at the edge of the marketplace, drawn not by the robots or advertisements, but by Lyra's stand. "People are still coming," Marcus said, surprised. "Even after the rush, they're still here." Lyra nodded. "They're coming for connection. They want the human touch. They want what we provide, not what the machines offer." Marcus smiled. He realized then that this was the true lesson of their little adventure. Human connection mattered more than perfection, more than rules, more than technology. Machines could do many things, but they could not care. Not truly. Not in the way humans could. Eli yawned, rubbing his eyes. "Uncle Marcus, this was the best day ever. I hope tomorrow is even better." Marcus chuckled, lifting Eli into his arms. "I think tomorrow will be even better. Eli, we'll see what we can do together." As they packed up for the night, Marcus stayed behind for a moment, watching Lyra tidy the stand. She looked up and smiled. A small, genuine smile that made his chest tighten in a way he hadn't felt in years. "You know," he said quietly, "I never expected to find something like this in the middle of a busy city. A place where people care, laugh, and create. All because of a small ice cream stand." Lyra's smile widened. "And sometimes, it takes someone new to remind you of that." Marcus nodded, feeling warmth spreading through him. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel lonely. He felt connected, understood, and hopeful. Lyra had shown him that happiness could be simple, and Eli had reminded him that sometimes, it only takes a small push to see it. Eli tugged at Marcus's sleeve again. "Can we go home now? I'm sleepy." Marcus lifted Eli into his arms, laughing softly. "Yes, kiddo. Let's go home." As they walked through the glowing streets, Marcus felt a strange, exciting curiosity about the future. There would be challenges ahead. Of course, corporate machines, rules, and all the noise of the city. But he knew one thing for certain. With people like Lyra and Eli in his life, he could face anything. He glanced at Lyra, who waved to them as they left. For the first time in a long while, Marcus felt a flicker of hope that went beyond ice cream, inventions, or even fun adventures. It was the hope that human connection, creativity, and care could make the world brighter, warmer, and full of unexpected joy. And as Eli yawned and rested his head on Marcus's shoulder, Marcus knew that tomorrow would bring more laughter, more experiments, and perhaps a deeper bond with Lyra. Happiness, he realized, wasn't about grand gestures. It was about small moments, shared experiences, and the courage to care. And tonight, as the city hummed and flickered around them, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time. A quiet, steady happiness. The city was alive with energy as the weekend festival began. Hovercars zipped past above, their lights casting reflections across the glass buildings. Music and laughter filled the streets. Marcus held Eli's hand tightly as they made their way to Lyra's ice cream stand, which had become something of a local legend. Eli bounced with excitement, practically dragging Marcus along. "Today's going to be amazing, Uncle. We're going to show everyone why humans are awesome." Marcus laughed, keeping pace. All right. Let's see what you have in mind." Lyra was already there, her stand decorated with colorful banners, glowing lights, and small machines Marcus had helped her invent. The devices added flair without taking away the human touch. Tiny sprinklers released edible glitter, and little conveyor belts delivered cones to waiting hands, leaving Lyra free to focus on the art of creating ice cream. "Good morning," Lyra greeted, her eyes bright with energy. "I hope you're ready for something special today." Eli nodded vigorously. "We are. And we're going to make humans look amazing." Marcus smiled, feeling warmth spread through him. He had never expected an ice cream stand to teach him so much about life, happiness, and connection. But as he watched Lyra move gracefully among her customers, laughing and sharing stories, he realized how important human care and creativity were. Machines could never replace that. The festival began in full swing. People from all over the city flocked to Lyra's stand, drawn by the unusual flavors, the lively presentation, and the joy in the air. There was cosmic mango, galactic berry, and the new moonlight honey, all served with a touch of sparkle and a sprinkle of laughter. Marcus and Eli helped in small ways, passing cones to eager customers, handing out tiny samples, and cheering for each smile that formed. A group of corporate representatives appeared again, observing from a distance. They had brought some of their automated ice cream machines, hoping to compete. But they soon realized that the human touch drew people more powerfully than their robots ever could. No machine could match the warmth, creativity, and care that Lyra and Marcus offered together. Marcus leaned over to Lyra quietly. "It looks like people really noticed the difference." Lyra smiled. "Yes, humans are unpredictable, caring, and full of ideas. That's what makes us, us." Eli piped up proudly. "See, Uncle? I told you, humans are amazing." Marcus laughed, ruffling Eli's hair. "You were right, kiddo. Humans are definitely amazing." As the day went on, Marcus found himself drawn closer to Lyra. He realized that happiness wasn't just about success, inventions, or festivals. It was about connection, understanding, and being with people who cared. Lyra's laughter, her small acts of kindness, and her infectious energy had made him feel alive in ways he hadn't felt for years. By mid-afternoon, a small challenge appeared. One of the festival organizers mistakenly suggested that Lyra's stand needed to follow new rules, which would have required shutting down her machines temporarily. The line of customers groaned in protest. Marcus stepped forward confidently. "Please, this stand is more than ice cream. It's about humans working together, creating joy, and connecting with each other. Shutting it down would take away something very special." The organizer hesitated, then nodded slowly, moved by the crowd's enthusiasm and the visible joy on people's faces. "All right. You may continue. Just keep it safe and organized." Lyra exhaled in relief. "Thank you, Marcus. You always know the right thing to say." Marcus shrugged, a small smile on his face. "Sometimes, you just have to remind people that humans matter." As the festival drew on, Marcus, Lyra, and Eli worked side by side, laughing and creating. They experimented with new flavors, offered fun samples, and even hosted small contests for children to invent their own ice cream combinations. Eli loved every moment, jumping from one activity to another, proudly calling out, "Humans are better than robots." At one point, a little girl approached Lyra timidly. "I want to try the cosmic mango," she said softly. Lyra knelt down to her level, smiling warmly. "Of course! Would you like to help me sprinkle a little glitter on top?" The girl's face lit up as she carefully added the sparkle to her ice cream. Marcus watched, feeling something deep in his chest. This was the power of humans, their creativity, kindness, and willingness to share joy. Machines could never replicate that. By evening, the festival was at its peak. The crowd was huge, but the energy remained joyful rather than chaotic. Marcus looked around and saw smiles on every face. He realized that their small adventure had grown into something meaningful, a celebration of humanity itself. Eli tugged at Marcus's sleeve, pointing to Lyra. "Uncle, look, she's amazing. And you're amazing too. Together, you're unstoppable," Marcus laughed, feeling a swell of pride. "Yes, Eli. Together, we can do great things." As the crowd began to thin, Lyra leaned against the counter, exhausted but happy. Marcus approached her, holding 2 cones filled with moonlight honey and galactic berry. "Want to take a break?" he asked gently. Lyra smiled, taking the cones. "Yes, I'd like that." They sat on a nearby bench, sharing ice cream and watching the glowing city around them. The lights reflected in the puddles from earlier rain, creating a soft, magical glow. For a long moment, neither spoke, simply enjoying the quiet connection that had grown between them over the past days. Eli, who had fallen asleep on a small stool nearby, muttered in his sleep, "Uncle Marcus, humans are the best." Marcus laughed softly, brushing Eli's hair from his face. "He's right," he whispered to Lyra. "Humans really are the best." Lyra looked at him, her eyes soft and warm. "And sometimes, it just takes a little spark to remind us." Marcus felt a surge of courage. "Lyra, I'm glad we met. And I hope we can keep creating, laughing, and enjoying these moments together." Lyra smiled, reaching for his hand. The city lights twinkled around them as they sat together, sharing ice cream and stories, feeling fully alive. Marcus realized that happiness didn't come from perfection, machines, or rules. It came from people. Connection, creativity, and care were the greatest powers humans had. And in that moment, with Eli asleep nearby, the festival lights glowing, and Lyra smiling beside him, Marcus knew that life was full of small sparks. Some came from ice cream, others from laughter, and some from people who reminded you of what really mattered. The festival ended, but their adventure didn't. Marcus, Lyra, and Eli walked home slowly, sharing quiet jokes and planning new ideas for the stand. Tomorrow would bring more experiments, more laughter, and more human connection. Eli yawned, leaning against Marcus's shoulder. "I think this was the best day ever," he murmured. Marcus smiled, feeling a deep contentment he hadn't felt in years. "I think you're right, Eli. And with all of us together, it's only going to get better." As the city shimmered under the night sky, Marcus realized something important. Humans were capable of more than survival. They could create joy, inspire others, and build connections that no machine could ever replicate. With friends, laughter, and love, life was brighter, warmer, and full of possibility. And so, in a city of lights, machines, and endless activity, a small ice cream stand became a reminder of what it meant to be human. Marcus, Lyra, and Eli had discovered the magic of connection, the joy of creation, and the simple truth that happiness often comes from being together, caring for others, and sharing small moments of delight. As they disappeared into the glowing streets, hand in hand, Marcus knew that whatever the future held, corporate machines, busy city life, or new challenges, they would face it together. And he smiled, feeling the spark of human happiness shine brighter than ever before. For Marcus, Lyra, and Eli, the adventure had only just begun.